We're
still getting stuff set up, so.
Technical difficulties. Everybody take a shot.
We don't have no technical difficulties today. We're doing what we gotta do. It be this way sometimes. Y'all ain't just gonna be giving us
the business.
Extra shots for technical difficulties. I won't stand for it.
You know what that is.
Why?
Because my sister Ann,
yes,
when she was watching, she's like, every time you say technical difficulties, I'm like, shots. Oh.
I don't know which one this is. Okay, we don't need it.
Okay.
So we're getting that set up for the we can record the podcast. So if you miss something on the video, it may be on the podcast for you to do.
Yeah, if you're out walking around, you don't want to pull up YouTube and use all that data, pull up the podcast. Listen along.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Hi,
everybody. I'm Sarah Lynn. This is Jason. JB, my co-host.
Yes, I go by both, so
okay.
It's interchangeable.
Well, I just want to say welcome to the self-campaign, where we are campaigning for ourselves. I am so happy and excited that you are here.
How was your week?
My week has been exhausting. Good, but exhausting. Okay, so let me tell you, I have peopled more in the last 5 days than I have in the last year and a half.
Yes.
And I didn't realize how much energy that takes.
Well, so we peopled for the same reasons.
Yes.
My birthday weekend,
yes.
And my best friend came into town,
who I absolutely adore. Hi, Angie.
Hi, Angie. She is a wonderful, amazing, beautiful spirit.
Yes.
And
she was not exhausting. I was exhausted.
Not.
Just being around so many people and doing so many things.
She was refreshing.
Yes.
And I feel renewed and all of that. But I did sleep a lot today.
Yeah.
Because, once I knew that she made it home safely and everything was good to go, I was like,
you could just relax.
Okay, I can relax now.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
hi, Jane Doe.
Hello, Jane Doe. You missed the shot call earlier. So how was your birthday? Was it good?
Oh my God, it was amazing. It was so... I was not ready for some of the things that were happening. My partner did a video of people who could not make it to town or could not be there. And I was overwhelmed with the amount of love that was just in the room. It was beautiful and wonderful. And then having to spend, all of that time with one of my favorite people in the world, for this whole week, mm-hmm. and just being, able to kind of show her how I'm living now.
Yeah.
And what I'm doing. And we talked about,
reconnect.
We reconnected and talked about what my plans were, mm-hmm. and what I wanted to do as far as the channel and the podcast were concerned, and to know that there is someone who knows me as well as she does, who is like, you absolutely can do this. You're great at this.
And who is actually helpful.
Yes.
Because, I cheer you on all the way. But if you ask me a question, I'm like, I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm just here cheering you on for whatever you want to do.
Yes.
But Angie's very good at breaking it down and helping you.
Come up with steps.
Yeah, and plans.
Yes. And all that. And it was just amazing to be in there, because I know that you have my back, and I know that all of my other friends and my partner are totally down and 100%, but I feel like with her, it was she's seen me when I was not the person that I am right now.
Right. And she's allowed you to grow, which is what has let her stay in your life.
Yes.
Those people who you change and grow and they can't handle it, so they leave.
Yes.
She's one of those people who has witnessed your change and growth and cheered it on, which is nice.
And is is all for it and is wants to push me to be better.
Well, and also what she does for a living.
Yes.
Makes her really qualified to help you. She's
Exactly.
in management, so she's used to coaching people and helping people and coming up with plans and things. Me, I'm just like, I'm like that drunk best friend. Fuck yeah, let's do it! But how are we going to do it? I don't care, let's just go! You know, that's me. So I'm not really very helpful, but I will cheer you on. Angie is really good at helping you lay out everything.
And we have a sponsor.
We do.
I didn't tell you this.
You didn't. We have a sponsor. Who's our sponsor?
Our sponsor is Color You Bad Nail Salon.
Oh, would that be what you're showing off right there?
I am.
I'm gonna have to go get my nails did now.
Listen,
you know
she
that.
did. It looks simple. It looks like a regular black.
No, it's
but
beautiful.
It is a matte black.
Okay, I need you to get up and show it to the camera because it is amazing, and you need to see this.
So dope.
How cool is that?
Like, she's so dope, and she's gonna be sponsoring us for a little bit. I asked her yesterday. I was like, "Do you want to sponsor the show?" And she was like, "Absolutely."
So where's she at?
She is off of Raytown Road and 63rd Street in Raytown, Missouri.
So if you're in the Kansas City area and you want to support us and get your nails did, I'm going to need you to call.
Ooh.
We will get you the address and the phone number and next time. But if you would like to use the Googles and find it, please feel free.
Yes. Please feel free to use your Googles and find it and tell them JB or Jason at the Self Campaign sent you.
Or Sarah Lynn or the Self Campaign.
And she will definitely make sure that you are taken care of.
Yes.
She's amazing and a wonderful spirit.
And your nails are always on point.
Listen,
every time.
Every time. She does the damn thing. And it is not even, like, it's a serious situation.
Yeah.
And like the atmosphere is wonderful and loving and it's a great environment. And yes, absolutely.
Now I need to go get my nails done. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So I think we've caught up on the week.
Yes.
All right, guys. So if you did happen to tune in last week for the 24 hours that the post was up, we are actually redoing that episode. You know, when you do something and you get done, and it's not that you did a bad job, you're just like, I just feel it could have tweaked it a little or done a little better. That's how I was feeling about this one.
Right.
Neither one of us did anything wrong or bad. I just wasn't 100% happy with it.
And honestly, I wasn't either. I was like, oh, this could have been better. And I know that I have a tendency to tangent.
Yeah.
And I feel like I tangented a lot on that. Because
I did too. And that's a problem. You and I tangent a lot. So when you get us together and we both tangent, it takes forever to come back. Sometimes we don't even find the original.
Listen, we be going around that cul-de-sac.
What did Jane Doe say?
Jane Doe said, you need a paddles. Put it in the show notes.
Oh, okay.
What is a paddles?
So that's my sister, and we listen to Kathleen Madigan's podcast. Mm-hmm. It's her pubcast. And she has her person behind the camera, Paddles, and Paddle does all the show notes, and she does all the editing, and Kathleen just sits down at her desk and does her thing.
Right.
We need a Paddles. We really do. But unfortunately,
we don't have
Paddles money.
Yeah, we don't
so.
have for Paddles yet. Listen, we'll get there. I'm putting it in the universe that we're going to have a Paddles.
Uh-huh.
The show that I watch, Maddie in the Morning with T.S. Madison, she has a Mo.
Right.
Mo does that.
So we need a Mo or a Paddles or somebody. Yeah.
We can just get up here and do what we do and be like, hey, put slide 3 up. And then boom, y'all get slide 3.
And they make it look all cool and fancy.
Yeah. Right now, I'm Paddles.
Uh-huh. Learning
to be Paddles. I'm not even good at being Paddles yet.
Yeah.
I'm just getting to the point where I'm like, hey, my name is Pad. I haven't hit the old yet.
So we are going to be redoing Dichotomy versus Spectrum. So I hope you guys don't mind coming along on this ride with us. If you did watch last week, and I hope you follow along. Maybe there will be some new nuggets of wisdom. I hope you like it. And here we go.
I love a nugget of wisdom.
I do too. I usually have them. In fact, speaking of nuggets of wisdom, I'm just going to throw this one out there for you guys. I was, I listen to all my podcasts.
Yes.
And I listen to all the things. So I was listening to Maya Bialik's Breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
And she had a gentleman on. His last name is Hawkeye. I cannot remember his first name. But the nugget of wisdom that he dropped, and now everybody get ready for this. I'm going to need you to write this down, put it in your phone, stick it on your mirror, and remember, burn this into your brain. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Mindfulness does not make people less irritating. Mindfulness makes you less irritable.
That nugget is a chicken. That is a chicken nugget. And it is delicious.
I know.
Because for real, you always think, I remember I've had friends who have been super into mindfulness and crunchy hippie shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be like, ugh. Can you please?
Mm-hmm.
But now that I'm kind of on that journey, the things that used to irritate me about that, really about anything, doesn't really irritate me as much anymore. I think it is partially due to me stepping into this new phase of my life, in the advanced age that I'm in now.
Well, and all the internal growth you've done. You've done a lot of work. I mean, I discount this a lot. In this since 2019, well, I've been doing it for a while, but since 2019, I've really done a deep dive, lots of digging and pulling back layers, and I'm still not done. I feel like I'm at the beginning.
Right.
But don't discount that work. We've done a lot of work.
Yes, we've done a lot of work. We've done a lot of self-reflection, self-campaigning. Take a shot, buzzword. Done a lot of the internal, getting through the muck of our childhoods and our teens and our 20s and our 30s and our okay, here's who I am. I know myself more now than I have ever known.
Yeah.
I don't, not to say that I wasn't that person at 20 and 30, but I know myself now.
Yeah.
Now there are things you can't even come in the door with me.
Yeah.
That I'm like, we're not even doing that.
No.
And part of that is with age, because as you grow and you learn things, you do better, and you start to see yourself as, to kind of dovetail us into our conversation, as the individual, and learn who you are.
Yeah.
I said the other day, when youth is wasted on the young, because if I'd known at 20 what I know at 40, bitch,
you can tell you nothing. But you would have missed all those lessons. You wouldn't be here. I mean, that's just how it goes.
Yeah, it's exactly. And now I'm I'm too tired to do all the shit that I want to do. Now that I'm to do better at the things that I know I could have done. If I could go back in a time machine and do all of that stuff, I think I would end up in the same place. But I would have gotten here much sooner.
Yeah, I get that. But yes.
See how we tangent again?
See, we just tangent. We're just going to run all the tangents, guys. Every time we go on a tangent, take a shot.
Take a shot. You're going to be drunk by the end of you're going to be drunk in 20 minutes.
So today we're covering dichotomy versus spectrum. And there are two words that I think are very important for us to understand individually and collectively. So the definition of dichotomy is a division or contrast between two things that are or are represented as being opposed or entirely different. The definition of spectrum, a wide range.
All of it.
So the reason why I think this is important, and I think what you said just now is very important, is what you are learning is to not judge and accept the spectrum of your humanity. Whereas in our teens and 20s and 30s, we're really trying to figure out who we are, but looking to society for cues. And so we tend to judge ourselves and try to squeeze ourselves into these little boxes because society gives us dichotomy and says, here, it's either this. So our society in particularly really pushes for a particular thing: body image, persona, idea, religion, etc. Right?
Right.
And we can lose the value of our individuality and seeing the beauty of different ideas, perspectives, and identities of those who don't think, look, act like the ideal that's being pushed. Mm-hmm. And follow me on this one, guys. This is really mind-bending, but hear me out. We're being told that being an individual is so very important. And then we're given images and ideas of what that individual looks like, which is an ideal, wherein we'll all end up the same.
Yeah. You didn't have to.
So it's not individualized. You're pushing a false narrative and a false dichotomy. Mm-hmm. So the reason why I think dichotomy and spectrum are so important is because we keep getting pushed these dichotomies. And when I say dichotomy, I want you to think of if then. If this is good, this one thing, then anything that falls outside of that is bad.
Right.
If this is right, then anything that falls outside of that is wrong. If this is the ideal, then anything that falls outside of that is not ideal.
Right.
And that's what keeps getting pushed on us. And we've seen it since we were little. I think especially if you were raised in the church, any church, right? God is good and anything that falls outside of that is evil.
Is evil, yes.
So we get these dichotomies and then we lose the spectrum of our full humanity, mm-hmm. trying to shove ourselves into these boxes. And then we feel really shitty and crappy about ourselves because we don't fit in the box, because nobody fits in the box, because there is no ideal.
Right.
It's this made up idea. So here we all are walking around miserable for this narrative that doesn't even matter.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't exist. I actually had a conversation with somebody yesterday about kind of this along the same thing, especially when we're talking about religion and the ideal, and what is the ideal, what is the ideal, beauty standards? What is the ideal education standards? What is the ideal, in religion? And we have these things that we are told are the standard and that they matter. And, if you don't look like, Denzel Washington or Hugh Jackman or, Sandra Bullock or Cindy Crawford, then you are not the ideal. You are not the standard. You don't hit the standard.
Yeah.
Which makes people, individuals, try to achieve something that's unachievable.
Yes. Attain something that's unattainable. Because if you don't have Hugh Jackman's build,
you're never going
to look like Hugh Jackman. As much as I desperately want to have Cindy Crawford's build, I am never going to look like Cindy Crawford. That is not going to happen because I am not Cindy Crawford.
You don't have her genetic sequences.
Yes. And she's gorgeous. She is beautiful. I absolutely adore her. I grew up with her, and she was always, just a beautiful, gorgeous person.
Right.
Can we appreciate her beauty and our own?
We can.
Wouldn't that be nice? I know. Wouldn't that be nice, though?
So
this is where spectrum comes in. So the reason why I want to say dichotomy versus spectrum is because spectrum, literally, dichotomy was like 2 whole sentences of a definition. Spectrum is 3 words, a wide range. When we look at nature has a huge spectrum.
Right.
all the different types of trees. There's pine trees, there's maple trees, there's sycamores, there's rosebuds, there's red buds, there Japanese maples. I mean, just tons of spectrum. Same with plants and birds and, animal, anything. And we see the beauty in that. We get so excited. Sunsets, there's never two sunsets. They're exactly the same. Do we get pissed off because last night's sunset looked so much different than tonight's? And so, damn it all, last night was the ideal sunset and we're never going to see another ideal sunset.
I mean, I do.
You're such an asshole. I love you. But do you see it? Like, how ridiculous does that sound? And yet we do that to ourselves.
Yes.
We look at this ideal that society hands us and judge ourselves against it without looking at our full spectrum of our humanity. We try to shove ourselves in this little box, and then when we don't fit, we get very upset.
Well, and I think that's something that we deal with, that I still deal with, you know, and because I am not the ideal body type, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And also as a person of color, Black identified person of color, there's definitely still that I don't, there's a I don't want to, there's a judgment that people put on, Black identified or other people of color because they don't fit white standards of beauty.
Yeah.
And for a long
because we never talked about them for the longest time.
Right.
They were never even brought into the narrative.
Right. And so, when you judge yourself, among white standards of beauty, as a Black person, you're never going to measure up. And that's not to say that white people are more beautiful or anything like that, because I don't believe that. But our features are different. If I'm saying to you, I wish I looked like Zac Efron. Well, bitch, you're never.
That would be like holding up a penguin and saying the standard of beauty for the penguin is a dove.
Yes.
The penguin's never going to be a dove. The penguin is a penguin.
Right, but if you've always...
But if they say, well, the penguin has to be a dove, otherwise it's a bad penguin, then...
Then you're going to always see yourself as a bad penguin.
Is that a terrible analogy? Sorry,
no,
that's just what I
thought
of.
I mean, it makes sense, because if you're if the standard of beauty is XYZ, and I'm ABC, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I cannot attain that standard.
Right.
And no one has ever told me that my ABC-ness is beautiful in and of itself.
Right.
And so you go through this entire life, and people can be, oh, you're cute, you're this, you're that. But because I don't have the range, of seeing ABC as beautiful, all that stuff is lip service. You're my friend, you're supposed to tell me I'm cute.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But and it wasn't until I got older that I was like, that's really gross.
Yeah.
That, I was never given a chance to see myself for the beautiful person inside and out that I am. And I can look back at old pictures of myself and recognize the beauty, but I can't, at the time, I definitely couldn't see it.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't even, there wasn't even anything that I could say.
There was no representation.
There's no representation. And that's why I think along with this is why representation of different spectrums are so important.
Yes.
Because if you're always only getting, if someone is always feeding you, plain Quaker oatmeal, and it's everything else is bad, you never know that the banana nut oatmeal is fucking delicious.
Right. Well, think about it. All the, when I was raised, all the women that I was shown, blonde hair, blue eyes.
Right.
I don't know if you noticed. This is all natural. This is natural. I'm never going to attain that.
Right.
I could dye my hair. I could buy contacts.
But it wouldn't. But with your skin tone, it wouldn't match.
That's not me. That's not who I am. So let's look at the full spectrum of our humanity and embrace it like we do nature and everything around us. Let's
Right.
try that. So I'm just wondering,
and to take it out of the physical, like when we think of, even like emotional or personality things, like if
yes,
you're a naturally quiet person, and everyone else in your family or everyone else in your circle are these loud, gregarious
extroverts. Yeah.
You start to think, what's wrong with me?
Yes, and you think being introverted is bad.
Is bad because all you've seen is one thing.
Yeah.
And, a lot of times that leads to kind of like the personality that I am. I have a lot of personality, but I have developed a lot of this personality because in my, ripping off the Band-Aid moments, I just rip myself most of the time.
Yeah.
But I've learned how to turn it on because that's what you do. Now, do I get energy from people and all of that? Yes. I think that idea of introvert versus extrovert is a little...
Well, and there's ambivert and all that. Like, this is there's a spectrum. There's a spectrum in everything. The light spectrum tells us that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess what I'm wondering is, can we start to become more aware of when a dichotomy is being used to make you judge yourself or others?
I think you can. I think you can start being more aware of that. I think it takes work.
Yeah.
Because your instinct, and I think, and I don't think this is necessarily it's something that's ingrained in human nature, is to judge things that are not like us.
Yes.
And that is a lot of it is a survival response. Like, I think it's lizard brainy. Yeah.
We have our tribe and we need to stay with our tribe. And
yes.
Yeah.
And so when there's someone who is different, I think from if you think about middle school, and like middle schoolers are horrible. They are the literal worst.
They're terrible.
And I think part of it is that they're so used to seeing they are the pure selfish. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it is purely, you are different. And because you're different,
that's bad.
You're a danger. And so I'm going to overpower you or make you feel less than. Yeah. And
so can we start taking a look at those places where we felt out of place because of the spectrum of humanity that we presented, and we got told it was bad? Can we maybe go back there, find that person, hug them, tell them they're okay, and maybe revisit that spectrum? Because maybe there's pieces of us that we've kind of left along the path because we were told it was bad, and it's just part of your spectrum.
It's part of who you are.
Yeah.
And this is going to be messy.
Oh, no. I'm worried.
But think about it in terms of both of us are queer identified individuals, right?
Yes. Yes.
So imagine, if you will, someone who identifies himself as a queer individual younger, because most of us kind of know, and they've been told all their lives that's bad. Yes. And so they go through their lives leaving that person behind. Yeah. Because it's bad. And then all of a sudden, they build a persona of, making sure that they are rejecting everything that they see as bad. Mm-hmm. And then, they get a flourishing rap career.
This is messy. You messy.
And they, get on stage and decide to say some bullshit that gets them in trouble. Now I'm not saying that's what happened.
And if you want to know what Jason's talking about, you're going to have to go to his.
Go and look on my page.
Go and look on Jason's, the KCAPC page. Jason has done a video about it.
Yeah, and we're not going to say any names because we don't want those problems. Yep. But I'm just saying, maybe if this person had gone back and looked at the spectrum of who they were and not the dichotomy of who they were told they needed to be.
Yeah. And how many of us do that to ourselves?
On a regular basis, all the time.
How much of yourself have you left along the path?
I'm a messy bitch.
Because you were told it was bad. With feelings, with ideas, with personality traits, with anything. Just think about the spectrum of I have 4 siblings who I absolutely adore.
Mm-hmm.
We are all so different. So different.
You are all different. I don't think you're as different. And I say this to say, because I think the same thing about my family as well. We think we are super different.
But, like, if you think about it, the spectrum of your siblings, there's such a big spectrum.
There's a big spectrum. I think all of us have something that puts us, that, like, lets you know, oh, yeah, they're all related.
Well, yes. But, like, even...
And not like, I'm not talking like physical attributes.
Right.
I'm talking like...
Mannerisms, the way you
personality,
speak,
the way
things
you
like
speak.
that.
Because I say all of your siblings, and I've met them all at this point, all of your siblings are different aspects of your personality. I
wonder if there's going to be a note on there.
All of them are different aspects, and I have not spent enough time with Jane Doe to see if maybe all of them are different aspects of her personality.
Yeah.
But, I definitely see, like with your youngest brother, I see him, that is party Sarah Lynn.
Yeah.
Yep. Your youngest sister that's fighting Sarah Lynn. No.
Second youngest
sister is fighting Sarah Lynn. Your youngest sister is calm, cool, and collected. Like, I want to teach you, Sarah Lynn. She's Sarah Lynn, the teacher. And, your oldest sister is, I'm having a wonderful time, Sarah Lynn.
She really is.
She's
the best.
And so there are all these aspects of who I know you to be. And I can say the same thing about my sisters. My older sister is the party,
Jason.
Yeah. My second youngest sister is the inquisitive side of me.
I feel like she's the inquisitive but family oriented. Like, she's the
inquisitive side of me.
Okay.
She's she's the drive. She's the one that has the goals and the dream, and is gonna push.
Yep, I see that.
And then my baby sister is the brat side of me. And I mean that in all of the in the most loving way.
Yeah.
She is the one who wants what she wants, and she wants it now.
Well, and she gets it because she works really hard for it.
She works really hard for it.
Yeah.
So it's like, you give me, she's the I deserve.
Yep.
But when you get us all in a room, it's like looking at mirrors of myself.
Yes.
But
But there's such a spectrum. And they all hold pieces of me and I hold pieces of them, but there is a big spectrum, right? And I guess I want to know, do you have any place in your life where you're adhering to a dichotomy, like thoughts, values, ideas, perceptions that could actually be looked at from different angles as beautiful and valuable?
I'm not even going to answer this question. Because yes. Yes.
Okay.
It is.
Well,
I have learned. You have to think we're all a sum of our collective experiences.
Yes.
And when you learn from your religion that some things are good and bad. Mm-hmm. You learn from your parents that some things are good and bad.
Society.
You learn from society that some things are good and bad. You learn from your friends that some things are good and bad. Mm-hmm. And you hold on to these things. And even if you have like, I might be interested in XYZ, if all of these things have told you that this thing is bad, you know, and I'm not talking about drugs or anything like that. That's my business. That's your business. It's none of mine. But like, I'm not talking about anything that's harmful.
Wait, I have a perfect example. I always wanted to do art.
Mm-hmm.
I love art. I love art. I love going to the museum. I love looking at the paintings. I love surrounding myself with friends who are artists. I just think it's such a beautiful expression. And I had a teacher in elementary school tell me that I was a terrible artist.
Where's she at?
But do you know what I mean? So I just stopped doing art because I couldn't draw. And so I just thought, well, I'm just not artsy. So I got into music and I could sing. And so I did theater and all of that. But recently I've picked up paints and a paintbrush. And I don't care how bad it looks. I mean, it looks like a 3-year-old did it.
It's
honestly.
cute. I love it.
But I was talking with a friend of mine and she said, art is not perfection. Art is an expression for you. That's it. You cannot mess up your own art. And I was like, well, dang. That's a dichotomy I was holding for myself. I am bad at art, therefore I cannot do art. Right. That's a dichotomy I was holding for myself.
And you don't get a chance to learn because you're holding that.
Yes.
You don't learn because art is also technical. There's a technical aspect.
Yeah.
And you have to learn the techniques.
Yeah.
And if you're always saying to yourself, I'm not good at art, i.e. I won't do art, you're never getting yourself to a point where you're learning the techniques. Right. That you can get better at art. Yeah. While still maintaining your sense of expression.
Right. Right. So here is a place where I was holding a dichotomy that, well, art is only for people who do it well. I don't do it well. Therefore, I am not an artist. And I saw a meme the other day. All kids are artists until they're told they're not. Mm-hmm. All kids are singers until they're told they're not. All kids are dancers until they're told they're not. And that is so true. So where are the places that you've dropped yourself and the things that you found interesting because someone told you, you don't do it well, you do it badly. Oh, that's not okay. That's like, I think of all of the beautiful people that we know in our community, especially like with the drag community, mm-hmm. the beautiful art that they bring to life. We wouldn't even have that because so many people said that's bad, but that's a piece of them. And they have been brave enough to step out and show us that piece of them. And if you could step away from the idea of it's good or bad and just look at the art that they present and see the beauty in it. I mean, come on guys, this world would be so much more fun if we just enjoyed the spectrum instead of kept trying to hold people to these false dichotomies all over the place.
Unrealistic standards
yes.
of beauty, of masculinity, of femininity, of you know, what it means to be X, Y, Z.
Yeah, what it means to be human. Nobody knows what it means to be human until you're humaning. And humaning is hard. So how can we sit here and tell somebody, oh, I know how to do it better than you?
I mean, I tell people I know how to do better. I can run the shit out of their lives.
You do. Can you run the shit out of your own?
Hell no.
Hence, we have the self-campaign.
You tell me your problems, I can fix that mug like this. Like right. Jiffy Lube. You know what I mean? In and out in an hour. Got you. Next case. But my own is a shambles.
What did Jane Doe say?
Jane Doe says, oh my God, remembering being 14 years old and laying on the bed, holding a 17 magazine with Mila Jovovich on the cover, depressed with my larger build, and feeling like if I looked like her, I'd be happy. Listen.
Oh, I love you. I love you so much. And I want you to know, this is my sister, and she is so beautiful. She is so beautiful. She's got the most gorgeous eyes I've ever seen. I've always been jealous of them. Her hair is
spectrum. Don't be jealous of anything.
Her hair is perfect. Her hair has always been perfect. Like seriously, it's infuriating. It's infuriating.
Well, and I think that's something that a lot of us can relate to.
Yeah.
Where, you know, sitting here and looking at, I remember watching MTV and watching, BET and seeing these people that were like, I didn't recognize at the time that, hey, that's not their real lives.
Yeah.
They don't look like that Monday to Friday. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They don't wake up like this.
Right.
And
it's a whole lot of makeup. It's a whole lot of lighting. It's a whole lot of
tricks.
extensions. It's
it's all these tricks to make them look the way they do. But me, at 16, 17, looking at these people on screen and being like, if I just look like that, what? How
my life would be perfect.
I would be so much happier.
Yes.
And, then you hear stories from those same people during those time periods, and they talk about how miserable they were.
Yeah, because they couldn't be authentic.
Yeah.
Honestly, when you look, okay, this is my little take on what happens. The very miserable people in the world, and they're out there. I firmly believe that they just need some extra love. You know me. But those real miserable people out there are looking at their lives, looking at a standard that's been held up for them. They've worked for that standard. They're still not happy, but they don't want to feel like it's all for nothing.
Right.
So they try to hold everybody else to that standard and judge everybody else based on that standard, because you have to be just as miserable as I am.
Mm-hmm. No, that's a standard they can't achieve. So, interestingly enough, we've been watching this show on BET called The Encore, and it's about women who are all in girl groups, in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Oh, the girl groups.
Yes.
So good.
And so it's like 702 and Total and like 3LW and like all of these girl groups who were like iconic for their time.
Yeah.
And it's like a couple of members from each of them, or one member from each of them, and they come together and they form a super group. And in doing that, they talk a lot about kind of what it was like to be in that group and the fall apart, how it fell apart. And so many of them were talking about how, they didn't get their chance to shine because, X and X was singing all the leads or this or that. And they had this moment where it was like, and I feel like I'm tangenting and going around a cul-de-sac, but I'll get there, I promise.
Okay. I'm following you.
But there's this moment where one of them says, well, everybody can't sing lead. We all got to do harmonies. Somebody has to do the harmonies. And it triggered one of them because their insecurity was wrapped up in the fact that they
were always stuck doing
the harmonies.
Yeah.
And they never got what they thought was their chance to shine. It didn't matter that they were like a well-known girl group and they had all of this success and all of these things that were going for them. All they wanted was the chance to sing lead.
Yeah.
But, they may not have had the same vocal ability as the lead singer.
Right.
And so it was, and then they kind of floundered and let themselves kind of go.
Well, and thinking about this, if we were taught that spectrum is beautiful, and this is the dichotomy, right? If I'm not the lead singer, then I'm nothing.
Right.
The group falls apart without anybody but the lead singer.
Right.
Because it's no longer a group. You need the harmonies and the melodies to really bring that sound to life. Mm-hmm. So if we could appreciate the spectrum of humanity and the spectrum of ourselves, then we could step back to let somebody else shine and be the harmony for their shining.
Yep. And then know that with the idea and the knowing that your moment is coming.
Yes.
Because one of the things that they did that I thought was beautiful in it is these were all like a whole bunch of different groups. It started out with 9 girls.
Yeah.
It ended up being 3.5 or 4.5.
I don't even want to know how we get a half, but okay.
Because she's only on one song, but it's fine. But they ended up with, and it was the people the two who were doing a lot of the work, a lot of the behind the scenes work. They were doing the writing, they were doing the producing, and although they had terrible attitudes because they just expected you just go and listen to me because I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Although all of these people are seasoned in their field.
Yeah.
You go listen to me because I know what I'm doing. They got the most leads because they did the work.
Yes.
They wrote the songs. They, produced the songs.
Yes.
So of course what they're gonna do is make sure they know each other, they know their voice, they know the other person's voice because they're twins.
Yeah.
So they're they know where each person's strengths and weaknesses are. And everybody else was kind of oh, I'll come down and sing my little two-step or do my little part. And then we're well, why are they all over these songs? Why isn't there parts for us? And it was well, I don't necessarily know your voice because you haven't done the work.
And you haven't worked with us.
You haven't worked with us, so how would I know?
Sorry, guys.
And it was
oh, excuse me.
So it was really kind of beautiful to watch. It was first heartbreaking to watch people kind of fall away. Because egos are, it's a big thing, and egos kind of got in the way. And
that's the self-campaign. I'm really trying to help us. Ego is necessary, but it doesn't have to run you.
Right.
And that's kind of what this whole thing is. Can we step out of our ego enough to really enjoy our lives?
Right. And all of them, and I contend that all of them showed up to this thing because they wanted to do this.
Yes.
And their egos, for those who stepped away, with the exception of one person I completely understand why she left. With the exception of one person, there was their egos got in the way because they wanted X, Y, and Z, and they had these expectations. All of them had these expectations that they were going to be the focus of the group.
Ooh, guess what next week is?
What's next week?
Expectations.
Ooh, so we'll save some of this for next week.
Yes, so
I'm gonna stick a pin on the encore. We're gonna talk about
Boop.
it because
it is
I feel like it is a very good barometer for what we're talking about right now.
And that's the thing, guys. Look around you. I really this week's call to action. I want you to find some grace and space to learn and accept your own variety, your own spectrum. Where is your spectrum? Where are you not celebrating your spectrum? Where are you ignoring pieces of yourself that are screaming for attention and love because somebody told you it was bad? Somebody told you it wasn't ideal. You saw something or got fed something from outside to say, this is not ideal, this is bad. And so you took that as bad. So when I'm talking about dichotomy versus spectrum, I really want you to see where you're getting those if-then statements.
Mm-hmm.
If chicken is good, then everything else is bad. Can you imagine how boring meals would be? No steak, no hamburger.
Are we seasoning the chicken?
No lobster. No shrimp.
I love a lobster on Instagram.
No bacon.
Lies you tell.
But do you see what I'm saying? How ridiculous does that sound? So where are we doing that to ourselves, and where are we doing that to other people? Just because one thing is good doesn't mean that everything else is bad. Just because chicken is good doesn't make all of the other meats bad. Just because...
Except for lamb, because it's gamey and I don't like it.
But, just because we like getting excited about something doesn't mean we can ride that excitement our whole entire lives. We have got to have those downtimes to plug into ourselves and relax. So downtimes are not bad, but how many of us look at when we relax and take a beat and we say, oh, we're bad, because we have to be producing 100% of the time. Do you see? These are the dichotomies that I'm talking about that I need you to really pay attention to. Where do you stop? Become aware of your self-talk. Where do you say, oh, that's bad? And step back and say, is that really bad? Or is this part of the spectrum of humanity and I can actually love and accept this in myself? Make sense?
Makes sense to me. How about y'all? Makes sense to y'all? I know it does.
Okay, so where could you be more gentle, more kind and gentle with yourself with the spectrum of others?
Mm-mm.
Do you know the perfect analogy for this is? I saw this on Facebook. I see a lot of things on Facebook. This kid had a math question, and it said, what is 3 times 5? And he wrote 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 equals 15.
Mm-hmm.
The teacher marked him off a point. And she wrote, or whoever the teacher, he, she, whatever, wrote underneath 5 plus 5 plus 5 equals 15. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, that's dichotomy thinking.
Right.
He got to the right answer.
Just didn't get there the same way she did.
So it's wrong? No. That's still the right answer.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of saying, no, that's bad, this is good, why don't you say, oh, yeah, that's a different perspective. It's a little bit easier if you do it this way, because you only write down 3 numbers as opposed to 5.
Right.
But you still got there. Way to go.
How you got there doesn't matter.
That's what I'm talking about, people. Where can we give grace and space for ourselves, for our spectrum, and for other people's spectrum? Where are we judging dichotomies? Can we step back and see it as a dichotomy and possibly shift our perspective to see it more as a spectrum? Any notes from anybody? Any messages?
Jane Doe says the holiday when the elderly neighbor tells Kate Winslet she should be the leading lady in her own life and not the best friend of the leading lady.
I haven't seen that yet.
I haven't seen it yet either, which I get, but I also am very much but everybody needs a leading lady, you know, or you need the best friend, and we're all the star of our own story.
But half the time we don't act like it.
But just because we're all the star of our own story doesn't mean that our contribution to someone else's story isn't as valuable.
Right.
And
because let me tell you, your contribution to my story, my sister's contribution to my story, Paul's, Blue's, everybody who has been in my story has impacted me some way. And I am so thankful and grateful for that, because that's why I'm sitting here right now talking about these things.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm sitting with you talking about these things.
So on that note, all right, guys, so your homework is take a look. Where are the dichotomies that you're holding in your own life? Can you find the spectrum? And where are the dichotomies that you're holding for other people? And can you find the spectrum? Can you find the beauty?
We may have to come up with some merch. A self-campaign journal.
Oh, that's a good one. I'll let you guys know. I'll marinate on that and let you know. But
it just came to my head right then and there.
I love it. Definitely. Well, let me know if you guys would be interested. Let us know. Reach out. Oh, don't forget, you can email us.
You can.
At theselfcampaignpod@gmail.com.
Yes.
Any church announcements?
Let's see. Is there any church announcements? Jackbox has moved to 11 o'clock tonight. That's 11 o'clock Central Standard Time. So I do have a thing.
Midnight Eastern time.
That's midnight Eastern time. Sorry for those who are on the East Coast. We'll be back on our regular 9 scheduled. We had I have a thing to do. Last week's Jackbox game featuring Angie was amazing and wonderful. I am actually working on the website still. Working on punching some things up and making some things cute.
Yeah.
Follow us on TikTok, Little Star 8481. I'm doing aggressive affirmations.
And I may pop on once in a while. So
and so aggressive affirmations are coming to you. So love them like you love yourself. And if you don't love yourself, start loving yourself, damn it.
You will get there. I promise.
You will get there. If I have to drag you kicking and screaming. Let's see what else. Sex and Shade is back.
Yes.
We are officially back in the building. The first episode is up on YouTube. The podcast will be up soon.
Check it out. Let me tell you.
It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful thing that's happening over there. Let's see. I got another series that I'm working on coming soon. It's an interview series.
Oh, it's gonna be so fun.
It's gonna be amazing.
It's gonna be so good.
I'm doing so much stuff. Have stuff that's going on. Monday, I will be doing a bunch of work. Don't forget to check out our sponsor. Look on her Instagram is Hill Did That. All one word. HILDIDTHAT.
Okay.
Hill Did That. That is the nail tech at Color You Bad. She is the owner and operator. She's amazing. Check her out. She is sponsoring the show. Make sure when you follow her, say, hey, the self campaign at KCAPC sent us.
Yes, please do.
She's amazing and wonderful and just a beautiful human. Yeah, that's it for the church announcements.
All right. We're going to be back next week.
Yes.
Talking about...
We're not telling them what we're talking about. It's a secret.
We already did.
Did we?
Yes.
You already did tell them that.
Well, because you started.
Because I started and you did that. Yeah. So it's not a secret.
Mm-hmm. But come back next week to learn more about that secret subject that Jason says we cannot talk about.
That we've already talked about.
Which is actually expectations. And come on now, guys.
All right. We love you.
We love you so much. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.
Don't forget to like this video. And if you have not subscribed to the KCAPC channel, KCAPC on YouTube.
Subscribe, share with your friends. If you want to be a Patreon member.
Yes. You can go to patreon.com/KCCaffeine.
Mm-hmm.
We are always looking for, ways to pay for things around here.
Yes.
Because this shit is not cheap.
No, but it is fun. And we want to keep doing it for you guys because this is my big passion project. And I really love bringing you different perspectives and different ideas and different things to think about. So, yes. All right. Well, we'll see you soon.
Mwah.
Have a great weekend.
You too. I said you too. She's Mary and Joseph. All right, let me find a way to stop